Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Peter. In today's video I'll show you how to improve the accuracy on your FX DRS by quite a margin. I'm using the DRS Tactical here, but what I'm gonna show you will apply to all DRS models. When talking about accuracy, there's a few things you need to consider. One of them is of course the tune. I recently made a video on how to tune the DRS, and if you want to get the best out of your DRS, that is definitely the best way to start. Next up is the setup, and that's what I'll be working on today, and I'll explain much more about it later. Last one is the ammunition. I have the 500mm STX Superior liner in mine, 177 caliber, so I've chosen a 10.3 grain pellet from FX. Let's start out by talking a little bit about accuracy. In my world, accuracy is to get the best possible performance out of any gun, and that means tweaking all you could ever think of in a gun to get a better group size. So for me, if I can get like a 1/4 of an inch better group sizes at 50 yards, that's a success for me. If you are one of those guys who would never ever mess with the standard settings on your gun and you're satisfied by shooting cans at 20 meters, this video is not for you. So if you are that guy, thank you, and that was it. But for me, who like to go into these tiny details, I hope that you follow me completely on this one, because that's what this video is about. There are two things that I'll touch in this video. First one is this. This is a standard FX liner. It's installed inside what's called a barrel housing on your gun, and it has some O-rings around here to stabilize the liner. Mine doesn't have O-rings, but I'll get into that later. So what we'll do to stabilize this liner inside your barrel housing today is to mount a carbon fiber barrel sleeve, and it simply slides over the liner like this, and by doing that it is a completely tight fit inside the barrel housing, and thereby reducing the vibrations whenever you shoot, and thereby improving your accuracy. Next up is the magazine. There are two different magazines here. This one is the one from FX. This is an extremely good magazine, and it's been upgraded, and I actually really like it if I'm to shoot slugs. But the thing is that the tension on the spring in this magazine is so tight, and you can't release it. So if you're shooting pellets like I'm planning to do on my DRS Tactical today, you will most likely bend the skirt on your pellets like the one I'm showing you here. So because that's my purpose, I was looking for another magazine that had a spring that was not so tight. So I turned to my good friend at Carm magazines, and he sent me a bunch of these. And yes, this is a commercial, but I would never ever show anything and talk positive about anything that I don't completely believe in. And with a guy who sends a label like this when you receive a magazine, that shows me that this guy has an attention to detail that matches how I would like to determine myself. So that's why I decided to turn to Carm magazines to see if these magazines will improve my accuracy by not bending the skirt. When loading the pellets into the magazine, it has a different chamber for each, so it doesn't bend the skirts, and thereby they potentially should improve the accuracy. In this video I'll test the gun both with and without the carbon fiber barrel sleeve, and I'll test it both with both magazines, and I'll do it at 34 meters or 37 yards. For reference, I'll start out with the standard setup, so no carbon fiber sleeve installed, and I'll use the magazines from FX. I'll shoot a couple of groups. Next up, I'll shoot a couple of groups using the magazines from Carm, and when I've shot these couple of groups, I'll compare the two results. Pretty good, that last one there, so let's check it out. Okay, now let's take a look at the targets. Starting out with the 4 groups that I shot with the FX magazine. Looks like this. It had an average group size of 16.5 millimeters. Then installing the magazine from Carm, it looks like this. Not too much of a difference. It had an average group size of 16.25 millimeters. Let's talk a bit about this, because obviously it looks like it's the same group sizes and there are no differences between the two magazines. But I will say that. And right now I just have to interrupt myself, because before I started shooting these groups, I actually didn't really have the full picture of where this test was going. But I'll explain you a bit more, or a lot more, about this later. Now it's time to install this carbon fiber barrel sleeve, and before you can start any work on your gun, it's very important that you degas the whole system. You do that by, or at least I do, by releasing this this pressure gauge by about 1 full turn, and it will take a little while for it to bleed, so you need a little patience. And now, with all the air out of the air cylinder, we can start installing the carbon fiber sleeve. I always tighten up the gauge again, so I don't forget when I fill the gun. What you do now is that you grab the air cylinder and it should come off pretty easy. I've done it before, so I know that it's not all that super tight on there, but if it's the first time that you do it, it could be a little tight, and one way to get it off if you find difficulty is to use an exercise band like this. Pull it around here, it gives you a better grip. This is the one that I'm using when I'm working out, doing my Pilates exercises, and you're free to believe that or not believe that. But you need to take off the air cylinder in order to get to the liner, and I think we are just about there. There it is. And I have this carbon fiber air cylinder on, so I can fill my gun to 250 bar. Gives me a few extra shots. And now it's time to remove the jam nut out here, but because I want to know how much of the jam nut is actually inside here, and the distance from the bottom of the jam nut to the carbon fiber barrel sleeve when I install it, I want to take a measurement, and this tells me that there is about 22 millimeters of the jam nut exposed here. So what I do now is I release it. I have this tool here. Like that. This is a torque screwdriver. I'm using it to make sure that the tension on the jam nut is the same every time. Put that gently aside here, and now it's just to take out the liner. There are some O-rings around the liner. I secured these by wrapping some electrical tape, I think it's called that, around the liner in order for them not to move when I'm shooting. So now I have to take them off. Usually when I'm talking about these O-rings around the liner, I get the question that wouldn't it be possible just to have O-rings all the way up the liner and make the liner more stable like that? And of course you could do that, and I'm actually pretty sure that it will reduce the vibrations on the liner, but still an O-ring is soft if you compare it to the carbon fiber barrel sleeve. So I never really considered this just using O-rings. I did add some more, but I didn't really see any difference. But now with these O-rings taken off, it's time to just slide this over here, and it's actually ready to be installed into the barrel housing. But before I do that, I just like to give each end of the liner just a little bit of grease, silicone grease, not too much, just so that it doesn't get stuck. So you always know the direction of orientation of this liner, because there's a tiny little groove down here at the bottom of the liner. So, and now in order to make sure that that the barrel sleeve doesn't move when we shoot, I want to make sure that it's actually very, very close to the end of the jam nut when we mount that. So Now let's push it in. There, all the way to the bottom. So let's see how deep it's seated. Measuring here. So from the edge of the barrel housing and down to where the barrel sleeve starts, it is 45 millimeters. And when measuring the jam knot, knowing that 22 millimeters of this one will be exposed, it's 34. So that's only 12 millimeters into the barrel housing. So that leaves us with 32 millimeters of slack from the end of the jam knot and down to where the carbon fiber barrel sleeve starts. So in order to get that, I'm actually considering to get some more O-rings and push them over the top, all the way down to where the carbon fiber barrel sleeve starts, and then up to where the jam knot stops. So first up, I'll use these 3 O-rings that I had on my liner as standard, and they are actually just 9 millimeters. So I am gonna use or gonna need some more O-rings. So now with enough O-rings, it's just about adding them to the end here and then pushing them into position. This is of course not optimal. You want a barrel sleeve that actually fits. So if you want to do it like correctly, I would advise you to order a barrel sleeve that is for a 600 millimeter and then cutting it down to the right measurements. But since I didn't know about this, that it's different from the other guns, I ordered the 500 millimeter carbon fiber barrel sleeve, and yeah, now this is this is my way of doing it. Now with the O-rings all in place, is just to secure the jam knot again, and don't make these mistakes that I always do, is to try to turn it into place with the fingers, because eventually you will cut yourself. I've done that like a million times because I'm not the smartest of people. But now just gently turning it into place, and this is where I'm using this torque screwdriver, because I want to make sure that the tension on the jam knot is the same every time I mount it. So I have it to 1.7 Newton meters. I have it here, and I have it on my impact, and I've had it on all my guns. So just to make sure that it's the same torque specifications every time. So yeah. Now, with that installed, the only thing left is actually just to mount the air cylinder again. And also here I'd like to apply just a little bit of grease, silicone grease. Like that. And then just mounting it again. And now with the air cylinder in place, it's actually only to fill up the gun and start the testing. With the sleeve installed, it's now time to test the FX magazines. That's a nice one. And now let's check the magazine from Carm with the carbon fiber barrel sleeve installed. That looked pretty good. The purpose of this test was to improve accuracy by installing the carbon fiber sleeve and to change the magazine. And what can I say? Mission accomplished. But before we go into interpretation of the groups that I shot, I just want to mention a few things. One of them is that if you look at a tin of pellets, you can see that it's very likely to that your pellets will get some kind of damage, like for instance a dented skirt. So when you load your magazine, no matter if it's FX or if it's a magazine from Carm, it is very important that you inspect the pellets, because there's no need to feed a pellet into the magazine if you can see that it already has a dented skirt. You can see very well from this test that it really has a negative effect on your accuracy. So that's one thing. Next up, as I mentioned in the beginning, remember to focus very much on the tuning process. And once again, watch the video that I did on how to tune your DRS, whether it's a tactical or it's a classic or it's a pro. Focus on the process of tuning. If you don't do that and if you don't understand it, you'll never get the accuracy to the level that this gun is capable of. And it's not only the tuning, it's also about finding the right type of ammunition and the right velocity. And I haven't said anything about my velocity so far, but the velocity that I found to be the best, and believe me, I have tried a lot of different velocities and a lot of different tunes when I was only shooting this standard magazine from FX. And the best accuracy that I found was just around 880 feet per second. When you change something as important as a piece of the barrel, this is the place where you have the most vibrations. And when you change and install this carbon fiber barrel sleeve, you will get some different vibrations in your barrel, also called a harmonic signature. So it is very, very likely that you'll have to consider a different velocity when you do a change like this. So in my case, the difference in velocity was not all that big, because after installing the sleeve, I only went down by 10 feet per second to around 870. So I I don't know if you can say that I was lucky, because the whole process of tuning was the same, starting out low at I think 840 feet per second, and then working my way up until I found the sweet spot where I found that the gun was the most accurate. And one last thing before I go into the interpretation of the targets is this little contraption out here that I know that you'll be asking about. This is a place to mount my chronograph. Any tuning process without a chronograph is very likely to fail. So get yourself a chrono. That is very important. But here on the DRS Tactical, it's actually pretty easy, because here at the bottom there are some M-lock slots, and you can mount some a Picatinny rail, just maybe this long, and then some scope mounts and carbon fiber piece, and you can mount the chrono like I've done here. So it measures every time, and it's not in the way, and I don't know about you, but I think it looks kind of cool. You can give me your opinion about this in the comment section below. But now let's go into to the results. Starting out, and this is where I interrupted myself earlier. Starting out without installing the carbon sleeve, the results were very much alike, and the minute I installed the carbon fiber sleeve, or at least the minute that I found the right tune, we could see that the accuracy started improving by quite a lot. So why wasn't there a big difference by changing the magazines without the sleeve, when you see such a big difference after installing the sleeve? Well, if the harmonics of the gun are uncontrollable, like I think they are, just with the O-rings around the liner, it's very difficult to do anything to get it better. So another magazine, another type of ammo, another tuning, it doesn't really have that much of an effect, like if you have a steady base, like after I installed the carbon sleeve. So I think that's the explanation, and that's the explanation I was trying to get into just after shooting the without the sleeve. After installing the sleeve, the gun changed its nature like so much, and I can say that all these targets are shot in the first attempt. There's no second or third or fourth try. These are the groups as I shot them. I tuned the gun, found the right accuracy, and then I shot these 4 groups on each setting and with each magazine. So after installing the sleeve and getting these results, you can see that the one shot with the FX magazine is obviously a bit bigger than the one that I shot here with the magazine from Carm. So the conclusion is that after installing the sleeve, you get the true picture of what the gun is capable of, and you also see what kind of effect it has to have a magazine that doesn't damage the pellets. And I think with those last words, I don't think that I can say it any better. So that must be the conclusion of this test, is that it definitely makes sense to get the carbon fiber sleeve and getting some a different magazine, or one that doesn't damage your pellets. But once again, if you're shooting slugs, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the magazines from FX. One thing that I would like to see in the future is that, and that's not only the DRS line, that's all the guns that FX produces, is that I would like to see that this carbon fiber sleeve was standard in all of them. I know that the DRS Tactical is perhaps the cheapest gun that FX has in their lineup, but I mean, just mount this. It makes the accuracy so much better, and it makes the gun so much easier to work on. So that's the end of the conclusion. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and just go for it. Do those improvements, and if you're shooting pellets, get those Carm magazines. So that's all I had to say. So until next time, take care and shoot safe.